Welcome to the Anime Territory Podcast. I am your host, Jonny Ruhal. Joining me is the only sports fan who will put up with me, my longtime friend and roommate, Ben Shabbing.
Hello.
Okay, this episode of Anime Territory, we're going to be watching the first 3 episodes of Dakaichi. I'm being harassed by the sexiest man of the year. We're going to do a deep dive into Kids on the Slope. And we're going to have a lot of fun along the way. We don't really have a third thing. So, before we get started with everything, just a little bit of housekeeping. I mentioned in the last episode that you should contact us if you have suggestions or want us to stop doing something or comments to make, but I didn't give you a place to do that. So we have since made a Twitter account. You can follow us on Twitter at anime_territory. We have 3 followers right now. One of them is me, one of them is you, and another one is a former roommate from college. So, real popular stuff here.
Yep.
Okay, so let's get right into our first anime tonight. Again, the way this segment works, we call it Rule of 3. We watch the first 3 episodes of an anime picked by you.
Yes.
You want to go over your criteria?
Criteria is the stupidest name I can think or I can find.
Okay. So, what led you to picking Dakaichi, I'm being harassed by the sexiest man of the year?
Because it says I'm being harassed by the sexiest man of the year.
Okay. So, you just saw that. What did you think the show would be about when you saw it?
Kind of what we got, except less harassment.
You thought it'd be less harassment.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that harassment made it.
I thought it'd be more like cutesy harassment. Like, oh, they're just flirting, not full on groping and like sexual conduct.
Okay. So let's just get right to it here.
Yeah.
This is a boys love anime. A topic that neither of us are very familiar about. I don't think I've seen any. This
is my first time with a boys love show.
I was trying to rack my brain if I've seen anything similar to it. There's a little bit of it in God, what is that show called? It's a reverse harem, but 2 of the harem members are twins, and or in High Host Club. That's what it is.
Oh, okay. I've heard that one.
2 of it's like a romantic comedy reverse harem, but 2 of them are twins, and they entertain women with like boys love actions is what they do. It's about the closest. Twins? Yeah. Well, I think technically
that's the gimmick, right? It's like we're twins.
Yeah, it's forbidden. We're just close brothers. There's nothing going on.
What are you doing, step twin?
Step twin? I don't think that's possible. I guess if they are your step sibling, but they were born on the same day as you, then that would be your step twin. Does that count?
Yeah, that sounds legit. I think we should just go with that.
Okay. But they were real twins. They weren't step twins. So that's about the most familiarity I have with the subject. I mean, obviously, I've heard of it. It's not quite the thing for me. I think that's because at the very least, Japanese boy love stories are targeted towards women, not necessarily towards straight men or gay men, but women. Maybe gay men like it. I don't know.
As a straight man, I didn't like it.
Well, that's fine. I have nothing against the genre. It just wasn't quite for me. But you knew that this was going to happen when you picked this out. I didn't know if you would know this would happen. When you texted me saying, "Hey, do you want to do this?" I'm like, "All right." Yeah. I don't know. We're getting into it.
I know what we were going into it, but again, it's a dumb title, so we had to go for it.
Yeah. Now, you were right. I was taken aback by how forward this show just straight up is. They do not lose much time. It gets horny right away.
Yes, it's like 10 minutes.
Maybe.
I
mean, there's implied stuff before 10 minutes, but one of the main characters asking the other main character at like 10 minutes into the first episode, "Can I please have sex with you?" and begging him. Now, get into the premise of the show. the two characters were voted number 1 sexiest man of the year, number 2 sexiest man of the year. However, in the first 2 episodes, they didn't use the title sexiest man of the year.
They used man I want to be hugged by,
which
is very misleading.
Yeah,
because those two do not.
Man I want to be hugged by sounds more like it's a high school yearbook superlative saying like, hey, we picked the 2 fattest people. Yeah. They're the people we want to be most hugged by. Like,
it's like Dwayne The Rock Johnson is probably like in your sexiest man alive ranking, but I don't want to be hugged by him.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson would crush us.
He would crush us if he tried to hug us.
He would asphyxiate you.
Yeah. Also, these two are like really bony. I don't think they'd be good huggers.
Yeah, it's the character design was definitely off.
Okay, if we're gonna just do character design, did you notice the little lines in like their chins?
Yes, I specifically wrote down chin shading looks weird.
Is that like just supposed to be shade, or is that
supposed to be
like
shading.
Facial hair?
It's not facial hair. It's definitely shading.
There's no way
that for their sexiest man alive pictures they used ones with stubble.
It wasn't even. It would be like a neck beard.
Yeah,
if, like your sexiest man alive had a neck beard.
I mean, if only, I'd be in contention finally.
You don't have a neck beard though. You have just a beard.
Yeah, but it starts at the neck and then makes its way up to my face.
That's every beard.
Well, I just meant that's where it grows first, is the neck.
Gotcha.
And then, then it finally started growing in around the face in the past couple of years here.
Okay. We're getting off topic. We need to speed this up.
Okay. This show is super horny. There is a lot of, like, teasing and, like...
just sex?
Yeah, just... One of the characters is like a male tsundere. He doesn't want it, but he does want it.
Yeah.
People around them, they're actors working on a set, and then they start having this relationship. People around them are like, is this what it's like to be a woman in the Hollywood industry? It's just like, there's some sketchy shit going on. This guy does not want to be driven home by this other guy.
Tells his manager to stop. He's just like, oh,
help me.
How cute.
And the manager's like, oh, you're going to take him home? That's great. That's off. It's like, is that what it's like? You just turn a blind eye to this? Is that what Japan's industry is like? That's the problem they have.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So I put a lot of thought into why does this not appeal to me? Because I don't have any problem with gay people. I know a few. I come from a small town, so I really don't know all that many people to begin with, much less all that many people of different backgrounds. I think it's just because I can't self-insert myself into the thing without feeling like I love romance anime.
Because you like to put yourself into it?
I guess.
Okay.
A lot of that, again, this is my trash opinions here.
Okay.
I realize a lot of these shows I like are not good, but a lot of the main characters just bland everyman. So you're like, I don't even know who that is. It could be anybody.
Me. I'm bland man.
I'm bland everyman. It's for the same reason I don't really like girl on girl Yuri anime either. It's like, okay, I get it, but it's just not for me. I've tried it before, and it's like, whatever. I don't know.
To me, it was mainly just all the harassment stuff.
It was definitely awkward. It was definitely just... like, this happened in real life. This would be terrible.
Yeah,
this guy needs to be arrested.
It's like that tsundere thing where eventually he likes it and stuff, but it's just like
no means no.
Yeah,
like don't.
Especially the bus scene.
The bus scene was very, very awkward.
Also, no DVD player.
No DVD player on that bus. What are they going to do for entertainment, Ben?
How else are you supposed to watch Wreck-It Ralph?
If not on a bus?
If not on a bus.
Did you watch Wreck-It Ralph on a bus?
Yeah.
Okay, I watched Wreck-It Ralph in theaters.
I don't know if I did.
I think I was shushed by some kid's mom that was sitting in front of us. I deserved it. I probably need to stop talking movies.
Oh, you were talking?
I mean, it was a kid's movie. I was probably making a joke to the people sitting next to me about something, and then...
You deserved it.
Yeah. No, okay. That's fine.
Anyways.
So, Are you continuing this? Are you dropping it? Or are you queuing this?
Oh, I'm dropping this.
Okay.
I don't need to see anymore.
Yeah, I'm dropping it. With our first foray into the boys love genre, who knows? Maybe it's just a bad show. Maybe it's a great show and the genre's just not for us. You let us know on
Let
Twitter.
us know if there's any good boy love.
Yeah, if there's like this is phenomenal and it happens to be boy love, we'll check it out sometime, and then we'll see if it's for us or not.
Yeah.
Because I'm open to anything. I'll watch whatever. It's 3 episodes. It felt like 90 minutes, but it was only 109. No, not this.
Yeah, the show dragged.
It was like 69 minutes. Oh, nice. 23-minute episodes. That's what that comes out to. Yeah, it's just like, is this over yet? We're still on the first episode? Oh my gosh.
Also want to point out, the opening was not very good.
Oh, I spaced out in the opening.
They weren't very good.
If it's a banger, I won't space out. So I just took that as like, okay, this is whatever. Okay, so should we move on to our main topic now?
Yes.
Okay. So we watched Kids on the Slope. This is a show I saw years ago. Probably not the year it released, but close to it. This is your first time watching it, yes?
Correct.
Okay. So what are your initial impressions, Kids on the Slope?
I really liked it.
Okay.
When I first finished it, I thought it was good, but after thinking about it, I like it more.
Okay.
I just thinking about the characters, their progressions, and kind of where it all went, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I think they did a really good job with it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was of the same opinion. I think I was of the same opinion when I first watched it, where I love that show. I think I gave it a 10 out of 10 on my anime list. If not, I definitely gave it a 9. It's music is, not necessarily the opening and the closing, but the music in the show, the diegetic music, was phenomenal. Just, I'm not a big jazz fan, but I can appreciate good jazz music.
I love jazz if it's in movies.
Exactly.
I don't listen to jazz, but except in movies.
This show makes me want to, like, should I listen to John Coltrane? Should I listen to Miles Davis? Like,
it's that thing where it's like, should I listen to jazz? And then you're just going to listen to jazz. You're like, nah.
I went to a jazz concert in college
I did too.
Yeah, because that roommate that follows us on Twitter was in our college's jazz band. So.
No, I went for a different reason.
Oh, you went for a different reason?
I had to do it for an assignment.
Oh, okay. I went to a classical music concert for an assignment in college. But I just went to support our buddy. Yeah. And they played the Flintstones theme on the xylophone, so that was pretty cool. Or maybe, no, it wasn't the xylophone, it was the glockenspiel. They started playing the Flintstones theme, which is when it was real big to meme the Flintstones theme in music. You do music mashups and you throw the Flintstones theme in there.
What the heck is the Flintstones theme go? We are Flint? No, that's different.
I just keep thinking, meet George Jetson, but that's not the Flintstones.
No, it's not. I never watched the Flintstones. How did that go?
A modern Stone Age family.
That doesn't help.
In the town of Bedrock.
There we go. Yep.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I had to think of it. I've watched a lot of Flintstones.
Did you watch Flintstones?
We would periodically, when we had Dish as a kid, we would periodically get like a weekend free of Boomerang.
Oh, okay.
We didn't have it always, but we periodically get that. And then, so I would put it on, and then one of the weekends that we had it, they were just doing like every Flintstones episode ever. So I watched a lot of Flintstones.
Like that time they did Simpsons. Fox.
Yeah. I watched a lot of the Every Simpsons ever. It was just on in our apartment in college. Which just, Simpsons is on. We'll put it on. It's quality stuff. I even like the later seasons of Simpsons. Not as much, but I don't hate it as much as everybody else seems to hate it.
We're off subject.
We are. Back on subject. Flintstones just kind of ends. They don't wrap up the Kazoo arc at all. It's just the last episode has nothing to do with any of the other episodes in the season. They finally had some continuity. Nothing. Anyway, back to our real topic. So, I think this time around watching Kids on the Slope, I didn't enjoy it as much as when I first watched it. I think I knew part of what happened, so there wasn't as much tension. It also seemed a little melodramatic. Like, okay, this is...
I could see that.
Like, okay, this is getting just a little bit like, okay, why is... But, I mean, also when you're a teenager, you are just a little bit melodramatic and angsty. So...
That's true. You have teenage angst.
Yes, there's a lot of teenage angst in this show. A lot of...
Especially the main character.
Oh, yeah. The main character is...
Karu?
The main character's name is... I wrote it down. Nishimi Karu.
Richie.
So Richie is what they call him because he comes from a rich family.
Richie Rich.
So let's just start. Let's kind of give a brief overview of the characters.
Okay.
So we have, like we said, the main character Nishimi Karu. He comes from a rich family, but it's kind of a distant family. Yeah. He doesn't live with his dad. His mom ran away. He lives with his aunt
and uncle. We never see the uncle. But
never see the uncle. He does exist though. Okay.
He does exist.
His aunt's kind of a bitch. His cousin is kind of like teasing him, and
maybe. I wanted more of the cousin. We
didn't
get any of her.
There was one episode where she did the next episode recap, and she's like, "Well, since I don't get a lot of screen time, I guess I'll do the next episode recap."
Oh, okay.
But she's like, play the piano for me because he plays classical piano. Is how he starts this.
Play us a song, piano man.
So he starts playing he's like, I don't think I should play the piano. It's a little early. People might not like to hear such a loud noise early. She's like, well, I'll take the blame for it. So he starts playing it. The aunt comes down, which we never get her name.
No.
She's just Aunt. I wrote, my only note for her is that she's kind of a bitch. But she's like, what are you doing playing the piano so early? It's way too early for that. He's like, well, he starts to say, and then his cousin, his name is Mariko. Never get a last name. I'm assuming Nishimi, but
probably.
She immediately turns on him. It's like, I told you not to do it. It's like, all right, this is this character. Got it. But then that's really the only...
That's it. There's like one other scene with her.
Maybe two. There's a couple of other scenes, but she's really more just in the background.
Yeah.
I kind of got the vibe that she kind of liked her cousin and liked teasing him, but was also just, not there. So, as we mentioned, he plays the piano. He starts playing jazz piano after meeting some of the other characters.
He's a classical piano player.
He starts as a classical piano player until he's influenced by the luxurious lifestyle of
Centauro.
Jazz musicians. I also wanted to note that he's pretty good at reading the atmosphere. Like, there's a few times where he's like, okay, I don't necessarily know what's going on here, but then he quickly picks up. He's like, okay, this person has feelings for this person. This person is oblivious to this. Okay, he picks up on that a lot more than... than our other main character, who is Centauro Kawabuchi. How would you describe Centauro?
He's kind of like, he's kind of like not the school bully, but the school brute.
Yeah, he's the delinquent of the school. He skips class. He gets into fights a lot. He's not necessarily mean to people. No. You kind of get an impression that he's mean to that one kid who sits next to them, but not in a intentionally mean way. In a, I'm a rough guy. I like having fun, and this shy nerd who I don't even write down his name. It wasn't that important.
What do you mean? He's the guitar player for, what do they call them? Not the Romans. The Olympus. That's their band name.
Well, we should be clear. This is a separate band. There's also in the
school
there's a rival band, that does rock and roll music. We should note that this takes place in the late 60s.
What is it? There's some time jumps, but the last 2 episodes take place in 68. So I think it's from 66 to 68.
Yes, it is.
Calendar.
There was also before there was the calendar in one of the last episodes that said 1968. There's an episode where they're mourning the death of John Coltrane, and I'm like, when did John Coltrane die?
I didn't look that up.
Like 1967. He died in 1967. This was a year into the timeline of the show, so it must have started in 66. 1968 is pretty much where most of it ends in 1968. There's a time skip to when they graduate, which would then be 1969, and then there's a time skip of several years after they are, done with,
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. There's another time skip when they're all adults. Let's talk about our next character. We should mention, not only is he Centauro rough around the edges and a delinquent, he's also loves playing the drums, and he that's pretty much all he really gets enjoyment out of, is playing the drums.
And his siblings.
Oh yeah, and
he's very caring to his siblings.
Yes, he's an older brother, several years older. He's got like 4 siblings?
I think 4. I thought it was 3.
We only get
one popped up. I'm like, there's another one.
There's only one of them that's named.
Yeah.
I didn't even bother writing her name down.
It started with an S, I know. It's like Saricho or something.
Something like that. I maybe I should have taken better notes. Oh well.
Not my character.
Now we have the bridge between these two characters. We have Mukai Ritsuko, who
Rico.
Yes, Sin calls her Rico.
I call her Rico.
You call her Rico. Okay. We should note that we watched this show separately this time just to see.
First time we're talking about it.
So there's very little that we had said before the show. I mean, I've talked about it probably off and on, just because inevitably we talk about Shinichiro Watanabe, the director of the show, and I keep saying well, if you like this, you should also watch Kids on the Slope. But
Shinichiro Watanabe is most famous for
Cowboy Bebop
and Samurai Champloo.
He also did Terror and Resonance.
Oh yeah, that was his newer one.
He also did Space Dandy.
Oh, you're right, he did Space Dandy.
Though to be fair, there were a lot of guest directors for Space Dandy and a lot of guest artists and stuff. Because he was more the big picture guy there. Yeah. And then a lot of the episodes were. Space Dandy was a much more fluid show than Kids on the Slope. It's a lot less structure to Space Dandy's continuity.
Well, this is by far his most structured, unless from the ones that I've seen.
Terror and Resonance is fairly structured too. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but that's one cohesive story. This is one cohesive story. His other 3 works are fairly episodic, with some connecting tissue in between them. He's also, he's worked on other things. I think he's the music director for a show called Michiko and Hachin, which I watched a couple of episodes of when it was on Toonami a long time ago. I'm sure there's things that I'm missing, but that's what he's most known for. Yeah. Anyway, Rico, main character calls her Ri-chan, I believe. Okay. So, but Centauro calls her Rico, and apparently you do too.
I call her Rico.
Okay. I would call her Ri because when I was taking notes, that was quicker to write than anything else.
I just like the name Rico.
Okay. But she is the class rep.
Class rep.
So when the main character first shows up at this school, he transfers schools a lot as a kid. So he shows up. He's very good at school.
Top of the class.
Top of the class. Very shy though. Doesn't really speak much. He gets very sick a lot. Where
he gets sick.
Anxiety. Yeah. Which back in the 60s was probably just. He mentions that he feels nauseous. Probably didn't realize that. Okay, this is anxiety. A lot of people have that. It's very common. But she is given the task of showing him around school. At one point, it's brought up that he likes playing the piano. I guess we're just going to get into the first episode here. So, it's brought up that he likes playing the piano. Her family owns a record store, and at some point he has to go to the roof because he feels anxious and nauseous.
Yeah, he was nauseous. He just wanted to get fresh air.
Yeah, and that's when he first meets Centauro. He goes up to the roof later. He steals the roof key from Centauro, who stole it from the office, I guess, and was hoarding access.
No, he stole
to
it from the senior boys who were smoking on the roof.
Okay. Well, I think the senior boys, this key should not be in the hands of students, is what I'm getting at.
Well, it has a payoff at the end, though.
Yeah. So he steals the key from him so he can go get fresh air. He always feels better on the roof. Mm-hmm. But it's raining, so the guy just follows him like, oh, that sounds like fun. I'd rather do that than be in class.
Yeah, it's like, screw class. I'll just stand in the rain.
And then eventually he's like, this is kind of boring, so he just starts running around and he throws Nishimi's umbrella off the roof. And then they're just kind of like, I didn't feel that bad. It was kind of nice being in the rain like that. So like after that, that's when they head home for the first time. I don't remember why, but Ri takes him to their music shop at that point. And there is probably because he mentioned he wants to buy classical piano music or something.
Something like that.
Probably wants to like impress her or something. Or she's like, well, yeah, come to my record shop. She's like, you should go downstairs. There's a piano. You can play it. And then Centauro is down there because there's also like a full drum set that he plays.
Basically, just an underground jazz set.
Yeah. So they, eventually he's like, you gotta, Centauro tries to play the piano and he's like, no, this is how you play it. And he plays it Nishimi plays it exactly right. And he's like, nah, doesn't have any swing to it. Yeah. You gotta be, jazz is creative and, you have to just
boring.
You have to improv parts of it and make it interesting and catch people off guard. So this is, it gets him genuinely interested in kind of not just jazz itself, but he's like, well, I can kind of impress this girl who was nice to me.
I found it as more like a spite. He's like, I'll show Centauro that I can play jazz.
I'll learn jazz.
Yeah, out of spite.
He sneaks time on the piano when his aunt is out to practice jazz and listen to the music and write notes down and then run back there. There's a scene of the cousin where she's just like, this is very interesting. What is he doing? So it's this kind of
that leads into the next episode.
Yeah. He's practicing jazz. He's becoming a little bit better at it. He eventually, somebody is annoyed with all the time that he's spending with Riko. Some other kids that so they bully him. They tie him up and try to take his pants down.
Pants him.
Wherever lots of people walk home from school at. He gets saved by Centauro. He just beats them up so much. It's like, okay, this is... Garu tries to join in the fight, and he just trips. But it helped because it distracts the one guy so Centauro can get back up.
Yeah, then it distracts another guy who's chasing him. So
yeah. It helped. It just wasn't what he intended. Because he's just charging at them.
It's the message that it's saying.
Yeah, it's the thought, not the actual delivery. They go to the record shop. We're introduced to another character, becomes pivotal. Pivotal. Yeah. Okay. Another important character. His name is June. I've got his last name. No, I don't. I did not write down his last name.
It's Brother June.
Yeah, Brother June. Not anybody's actual brother, just another neighborhood kid that lives around the same place that Centauro and Riko do. He plays the trumpet. And he also sings jazz. So they have a jam session with, Riko's dad playing the acoustic bass.
Pops.
The what?
He's Pops.
Oh yeah, Pops. I don't think we ever get his real name. It's just Pops.
Just Pops.
And then June playing trumpet, Sen on drums, and Nishimi on piano. See, after this, Nishimi makes a plan to hang out with Riko. Studying was their plan.
Yeah.
But then Sen tags along. Riko invites Sen along, and they go to the beach instead.
Yep.
before that, we learned that Centauro and Rico are both Christians, which is odd in Japan. I mean, it's not unheard of, obviously, but Japan is kind of an agnostic country for the most part. They kind of blend three religions. They blend Christianity, Buddhism, and traditional Shintoism. Worshiping like gods of certain areas and whatnot. But not very much of it seriously, other than just let's go visit the shrine on New Year's. Or
I think this is the first anime that I've seen where there's character was Christian.
Yeah. I mean, that's not necessarily true because you've seen Fate Zero.
Oh, damn, you're right.
Really, for
that
sure.
Doesn't count. That's a weird trick.
What are you talking about? That's the Catholic Church that he's a priest of. Fate Zero.
We'll talk about that another day.
We will talk about Fate Zero. It'll come up most episodes, probably.
Probably.
Okay. It came up in the first episode, but I think that segment got cut. Because we had lost audio.
Yeah.
We're just talking about how I watched like the last 3 episodes of Fate Zero before seeing anything else Fate related. But yeah, they go to the ocean. That's when we meet a girl that's kind of being harassed by some people. That's like, hey, why don't you come hang out with us? This is Yurika Fukuhori.
What'd you say?
What?
Okay.
I
had a problem with this girl's name. That's like the one name on this show that I couldn't remember was Yurika.
Well,
she needed a nickname.
Didn't she get called Yuri by some of the characters?
I don't remember.
Okay. But Centauro immediately likes her.
Yes.
Love at first sight.
Yeah.
So they rescue her, and then it's like, oh, okay, she goes to the same school. She's a painter, which like she kind of equates painting and jazz to being, like it's artistic expression.
Yeah.
It's about, capturing in art. You capture an image. In jazz, you capture a time. It's stuff you'd expect a deep teenager to talk about. That you would expect in a show like this. It's something where if somebody said it in real time, you'd be like, all right, I get it, but, aren't you sounding a little bit, are you trying to sound fancy type of thing? Let's see. So because Centauro likes her immediately, Nishimi is like, yes, good.
Yes.
You can go for her, and then, then you won't be competition, for Rico's attention. Which at this point, he doesn't really know if she has feelings for him or not. He just wants to look better than Sin in her eyes.
He likes Rico.
Yes, that is for sure established at this point. Rico's emotions are, as of yet, undiscovered.
Yes.
So they arrange to go on a group date so that he can also go on a date with Rico at the same time, and so that Sin doesn't make too big of a fool of himself. Sin has to work up the courage to ask her.
Yeah.
And then eventually, he has to get the help of Nishimi to do it. And Yurika's like, okay, but which one of you is actually asking me? And Sin lies and says that Nishimi is. She's
I feel like
okay.
Yurika knows, though.
Yeah, I feel like at this point she knows, but...
When they go on the date, you get the vibe that, like, Yurika knows that Sin is the one that likes her.
Yeah. But I believe she also mentions to... at the start of the date, she mentions to Rico that, Nishimi asked me to come along. Yeah. So Rico gets the wrong idea, and it's like, oh, okay, then, Nishimi likes Yurika. That's nice for him. Good for them.
Great.
Then it soon becomes apparent that all of Centauro's attention is going to Yurika, and Nishimi is paying her no attention whatsoever. So she kind of excuses herself from the situation, and Nishimi catches the glimpse of her, crying while she's saying that she's going to go to the bathroom or something. Which I want to point this out. We were talking about boys' love earlier. This is apparently there's a lot of shipping between the two main boys in this show.
Are we going to do a new segment?
Yeah, we can do our new segment here.
We
never decided on a name. I wanted to call it Ship of the Week, and then I realized I was stealing that from a different podcast.
So we'll go with my name. We might change it, but this segment is called All Aboard.
All aboard. Okay. So we discuss our favorite ships, the ships in the show. There's some big ones. I really only want to talk about two for say. We'll get into the others as we talk about the show. But what was your ship? What was your favorite ship in the show?
Honestly, if I were to ship two characters, it's Sin and Karu, the two main guys.
Okay.
They have great chemistry.
There's a lot of like, okay, I get it. It's like when I first watched the show, I was not in the mind to pick up on that, but I'm like, okay, yeah, I see it. Yeah, I get this. I like Karu and Riko, but that's me.
Yes, they're a very good couple.
Yes,
there's no complaints about it.
But are they the ship of the week?
No, it's Sin and Karu. Okay.
So you have seen Boys Love.
Yeah. But just gonna say it, those two are very attractive people. Yes. The two main characters.
Much more attractive than the sexiest man alive.
Yes.
And the second sexiest man alive.
Way much sexier.
And that might just be, our choices more than anything else.
I do like the look of this anime.
Yes.
It has a different style to it.
It's kind of makes me, it's like rustic looking or like watercolor-ish more than, it doesn't look like a modern anime. Yeah, it's not clean. It almost looks like a Ghibli movie kind of.
A little bit. It's just not, there's like a crisp, maybe not crispness, but there's something about it. It almost feels like the characters feel more real. Okay. They look a little bit more human-like to me.
They look, okay, they're less exaggerated.
Yeah.
There's not like a bunch of crazy hair colors that distract you. It's not as clean. I would say it's not as clean and crisp as something like, I'm just thinking of, I can't even think of the name of it. I feel really bad about not thinking of the name of this anime, so I'll just say a different one. It doesn't feel like Fate Zero, which is very, I would say, crisp animation there.
Okay.
It just feels more grounded and more like a moving painting than maybe. We're not artists.
Yeah.
We're two dudes. One works in a call center and one works at Menards talking about anime in our dining room. So don't expect too much from us. We'll try our best, though.
It looks nice. I like this animation style.
Yes. Very, very pretty. Mm-hmm. The reason I brought up the ship here, I guess we're getting out of All Aboard, is when they're on this group date, there's a rumor that says, oh, if you climb to the top of this cliff, you'll be together forever with somebody. Mm-hmm. And as soon as Eureka mentions that legend, Sin is like, well, Karu, should we climb it? And I'm like, all right, I get it. It's there. It's not something that people are picking up on that is like, why would you ship these two characters? It's there.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big hint. It's there. Yeah. But no, they have a great friendship. It has rough patches and it has better patches.
But yeah, ship of the show is Karu and Sin.
Okay. Is that what it is? Ship of the show?
Ship of the show? Sure. Ship of the show.
Okay. Because we don't do things weekly. I mean, or at least not yet we don't. Not yet. I thought about calling it Fortnite ships, but
Fortnite ships.
Yeah, every 2 weeks we have a ship, but I don't know. It didn't quite have the right ring to it.
Moving on.
Yes, I didn't have a lot of notes for this episode. I wrote group date, miscommunication, argue, jam. Oh, and then at the end of it, Nishimi confesses to Riko saying like, hey, you don't have to answer me because I know you have feelings for Sin, but let me play this song for you. Yeah. And this is about me and you. This is not about me and Eureka or anything else. This is me saying I have feelings for you and that there's somebody here who loves you, even if the person that you want it to be is not the case.
And the song was the name of the episode. Someday My Prince Will Come.
Yes. Now, I didn't do the research. Are all the episodes named after
They
songs?
say that every episode's named after a jazz piece.
Okay. I thought they said that in one of the next episodes. But I didn't bother checking if that was true. I just assumed it was and moved on.
They said it, so I believed it.
The first one was definitely named after a song because it was a song that they argue about and play. So the next episode, it gets close to Christmas time, which Sin's birthday is on Christmas. Yep. Is Sin Japanese Jesus? Who knows?
Maybe.
No, he's not. Oh. But I just want to point something out right now. Kaoru kisses Riko pretty soon into this episode. Yeah. So I wrote, "You can't just kiss a girl. I don't care if it's Christmas." You can't do that. She never reciprocated your feelings. The moment felt right, sure, but you can't just do that, man.
He thought he saw a mistletoe.
He did not. They were outside.
Yeah, that's where mistletoe
in open air. You have to be under mistletoe for that to count. She feels very conflicted about it. She's like, I didn't want that. Mm-hmm. But then I also wrote...
This is probably your first, big emotional episode?
Yes.
Because, just looking at the notes, basically that happens, and then Kaoru basically yells at Centauro because he's jealous of him, because he thinks he has everything that he wants.
Yeah, he's got a close family that he likes. He's like, I don't belong in the house that I live in. Yeah. I don't have a close family like you do. I wrote down that we get Sin's background here.
Centauro's backstory.
So he is I think did they use the term half-blood?
I don't think so.
He's half Japanese, half American. His mom had an affair with an American soldier stationed here after World War II, as part of a time when we had troops stationed in Japan as part of the...
They're still here too.
They are still in Japan?
Yeah, because that jazz bar is where a lot of the soldiers...
No, well, I know that. They're still here on the show. I thought you were saying current day, 2021, there's still Americans stationed in Japan.
No, I'm talking about the show.
Okay, because I knew it was a big thing. They get into it later. It was a big movement, or part of a movement of college kids, not wanting American occupation. Also, tending the government should be more leftist. That one of the characters.
Yeah, we can kind of skip ahead, I guess. Yeah, or talk about. June is kind of accidentally stumbles into an activist.
Yeah, he believes that, but he never really wanted. I think he had the best intentions, and then a friend of his that he liked playing jazz with was like, "Hey, I need you to cover for me. I need you to speak up."
Yeah.
And, a part of it was college reform. Colleges.
So what we got, it was college reform.
Yes, I looked into it a little bit. There was a lot of college reform. There was protests. They wanted, they were communists, which is not necessarily.
I think another time they were trying to stop some nuclear.
That was later.
Yeah,
going anti-nuclear. I think was a 70s or 80s.
I thought they were blocking a road because they were moving nuclear material or something.
Oh, possibly, yeah. But it's just a kind of a general. It's a time that doesn't actually get talked a lot about in Japanese history, probably just because of Japanese view on shame and and being we've always been as good and of people as we are now type of thing. But it was kind of ballsy that this is just hey, let's just take this high school angsty romance and let's throw a backdrop of communist activism in there for a character. Why not? We'll talk about a period that doesn't get talked about very much. Because even after watching the show, I didn't remember that was a part of it. I'm like, what is this again? What's he getting involved in? But going back a bit, shortly before this, they get a gig at a jazz bar playing for America. It's basically
American soldier hangout.
Yeah, so they get a gig playing jazz. It's near New Year's, I believe, is when it does. They practice a bunch. June is part of it. The dad is part of it. they go. Yurika and Riko go together. At this point, Yurika meets June, and is like, "Oh, okay, I'm done with Centauro," which she never really had that strong feelings for him anyway. Which is like, it's all in on June.
Yes,
and it's a little creepy. I'm like, all right,
a little bit, but I just wrote in my notes, I don't blame her.
he was very attractive.
Very attractive boy.
Just classically handsome.
Plays the trumpet.
Well, you played the trumpet in like 5th grade?
Yeah.
Were you like me? Did you quit band after 5th grade?
After 6th grade.
After 6th grade. You went a whole other year.
Yeah.
Okay. Which I played the drums. We could have been a jazz band.
Dang it. Oh, I was going to ask if you wanted to start a jazz band.
Not really. I mean, sure, why not? But I'm not going to be good at it. I don't remember.
You don't have to be good at music to play jazz. That's
all
the whole
right,
point of
that's
jazz,
a little,
isn't it?
That's a little rough. I think you have to be even better at music to play jazz because you're expected to improvise at it.
Yeah, you're improvising.
Yeah. Your improvisation has to still be good, though, Ben.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah.
You can't, I mean, you could do bad improvisation, but...
Call it bad jazz.
Bad jazz. We'll start a new movement. You're into jazz? Well, this is bad jazz.
Bad,
we have no classical training, and that's not a good thing.
2 years of trumpet school.
Okay. So now moving on. Mm-hmm. I want to point out that there was a racist American in the bar that wants to hear white people music, and Centauro is just
no.
He's not having it. He refuses to play. He wants to go fight that guy. Yeah. June calms the situation down, and then I think eventually the drunk kind of stops paying attention.
Well, they play white jazz.
Well,
they give in to that guy's command.
Just don't start fights, I guess, but don't indulge racists.
Okay, moving on.
Let's see. So in the next episode, we finally get an answer from Riko about Karu's feelings, and she does not feel the same. But she still wants to be a friend, and they want.
Admits she likes someone else, which we get the assumption it's Sin.
Yes. Again, Sin, all none the wiser. I believe he hears her telling. He witnesses her telling Richie that the main character that she likes somebody else, but he's like, who could it be?
Oh yeah.
And I think he asked like his sister at one point. It's like, do you know who she likes? His sister's like, are you kidding me?
Everybody knows.
Isn't it obvious? We also we meet Karu's dad. Never get his name. It's just dad.
Karu's dad. Sailor.
Yeah, is that what he is? He's a sailor?
Yeah.
Okay. But he is home for like the holidays or something. He gives Karu a letter from a former housekeeper of theirs that found their mom in Tokyo, saying like, hey, this is the address of where she works. I understand if you don't want to go. I wanted to leave it up to you if you want to go and see her. He's eventually like, I don't know. Sin convinces him to do it, and then also just shows up and goes along with him. Yeah. He does meet his mom. His mom eventually recognizes him, and she doesn't at first because he hasn't seen him since he was a small child. They catch up. Is heartfelt.
It was nice. I was kind of mad that she doesn't show up again.
No, I mean, she doesn't, but she also lives very far away, and it's expensive to go. And
he's rich.
His family is, but I was of the impression that he tries to never ask for anything from his aunt because he doesn't want to.
It might be more his uncle is rich.
Yeah, it's not like he's in a position where he's like, I don't really belong. I just want to be as unobtrusive as possible so they don't get mad at me, and I don't have to deal with them. I don't have to deal with that whole headache. But in that, they're like, to save money, they're going to go stay in June's dorm room. But he's been missing for a month.
Yep.
So, what's going on there? We haven't really got an inkling.
After this episode, I wrote down my theories.
Okay.
First theory was it's a girl. He's with a girl.
Okay.
Second, my second and third reason kind of go together. Second reason was Yakuza? Question mark. And third theory was mermaids. Got taken by mermaids.
Okay. So let's address the first one first. Girl, that's what I think my lead theory was. Because I knew at this point, when I first watched the show, I knew at this point that Eureka liked June. But he was kind of like, I'm a college kid, you're a kid.
You're a high schooler, yeah.
I'm it's cute if you have a crush on me, but I'm not really, gonna play those feelings. And like the people that they meet, that they end up staying with that are June's friends, are like, yeah, he might be shacking up with some girl. He does that sometimes.
I mean, he's a very attractive man. He could do that.
Yeah. And then your second theory, Yakuza.
They say Yakuza too, don't they?
Well, they say that he probably fell in bad with some factions and is hiding out somewhere. So you're like, okay, maybe they might also mention Yakuza. At this point, you're like, oh, there's something sketchy about June. He's involved in something a little too deep. Having seen the show, I couldn't remember exactly what it was. I'm just like, I remember him being like involved in something too deep for it. And then you're why mermaids? Why is that your last theory?
Because mermaids are shady. Also, Yakuza are mermaids, so...
Okay, so you're referring to a show that we started watching. We haven't finished.
We watched the first season.
Yeah, we did, but I want to rewatch the second season. You're talking about My Bride is a Mermaid at this point.
Yes.
A show where Yakuza families are all fish people.
Yes.
Okay.
Thought it would be a crossover or something.
You thought that this so far very serious show would have Sun Seto from the Seto Mermaid Yakuza gang show up and kidnap a character.
It's an anime. They're unpredictable.
Okay, I just wanted to get that on record. That's something you legitimately thought could happen.
Mermaids. It's always mermaids.
It's always mermaids. Noted. But we don't find out why. They eventually go back. That's pretty much the end of that episode there. At this point we see the next episode. We get a scene where there's something going on with Centauro and Eureka, where Centauro is wearing very little clothing.
Karu, that was this episode?
It might have been the last episode towards the end or something. But Karu gets a glimpse of it and he's like, whoa, they're already having that kind of relationship. Yeah. It turns out she was just painting him and he was wearing clothes. It was just like a toga or something. Yeah. They mention the Sound of Music in this. Riko wanted to see it but didn't get a chance to see it. She's like, they hear the marching band playing my favorite things from the Sound of Music, and they comment on it. I have here that there was a date, but I don't remember who with or what it was for.
It was Eureka and Sin.
It was Eureka and Sin.
It was more of like a thank you for posing for me.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. So they go on a date. I think at some point, Karu sees them on it.
Yeah. Well, it's like the end of the date. Like Sin's just sitting somewhere.
Okay. And then I also have written down Rock Band Startup. Yes. So we meet a character who's in the art club. He's a little bit eccentric.
A little bit.
His name is Matsuoka. I didn't get his first name. Just Matsuoka. But he wants Centauro to join the rock band and be a drummer. Yeah. He's like, hey, listen to this Beatles album. Then that's the type of music we want to do. We want to be superstars. We want to, we kind of learned that he wants to be a superstar to support his family because he's got a bunch, like Sin, he's got a bunch of little siblings.
And they're poor.
And they're poor. But he also wants to impress chicks. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, this guy gets it. This guy's living the dream.
He's doing it for the right reasons. Girls and family. So
girls and family.
In that order.
Was it Centauro agrees to join the band, which causes Karu to be absolutely furious.
Yeah, he's like, you're abandoning jazz. I thought that was the only music you cared for. I don't like this other guy taking up your time. I don't trust him.
You're supposed to be with me. What? I didn't say that out loud.
So they start having a tiff about it, and Central's like, this is temporary. I'm doing this guy a favor.
We get that next episode.
We do get that. Yeah, so that's going into episode 7.
Episode 7 is the talent show.
Yeah. I put here that Sin punches June in this episode. I think because he shows back up and he's kind of like a sad sack.
Yeah, something like that. I forget why.
But he's like, I'm gonna...
He's just got a punchable face.
The school festival comes.
Yes.
Which is where... That was Sin's promise. I'll be in your band until the end of the school festival. They're playing a song. Power gets cut out. It's implied that it was like some jealous
I did get
seniors or something. Well, they came up and like, you can't really do anything without your fancy rich instruments.
That was just them like teasing.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Like the electric guitars aren't working. Yeah. And Sin's like, joke's on you. We're poor. These are rentals. Yeah. We're borrowing these from people. But to save time, Karu starts playing My Favorite Things medley on the piano, jazz rendition of it, and then Sen comes in the drum, and it's kind of there.
And it bops.
It's a bop. Yes. It's a bop. I mean, first of all, I just like My Favorite Things, but it's also, okay, yes, this is why I'm watching this music, for drama and jazz.
Yes.
And it's kind of them like, okay, hey, I'm doing you this solid.
Carr overhears him talking about why he's doing it.
Yeah.
So he's like basically forgives him, and
then they run off after that.
Yeah.
Run.
They always run off with each other. It's like
it's adorable.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to know why we ship them? It's because they keep running off together.
Yep. And then they're famous the next day at school.
Yeah. I wrote Karu's a ladies' man now.
They get their picture taken for the school newspaper.
And they run off again.
It's just two men running. I don't know what's gay about that. You telling me that the 100-meter dash is gay? I don't...
What?
Just two men running.
Oh, okay. I got you. Sorry. I dozed off or blacked out for a sec.
Okay. At this point, we also get June's backstory in this episode. We learn all that stuff that we were talking about before. We kind of stumbled into a political activist role and a leadership role too for like a group of his on campus. And then he kind of just his friend gets really injured and can't play trumpet anymore because his hands are beyond recovery. Mm-hmm. He's in the middle of giving a speech to a group of people, and he's like, what am I doing here? And he just kind of starts he starts living in the basement of the thing. I think that's why Centauro punched him.
He quits college, gets disowned by his family, so
he gets disowned by his family. He's living in the basement. He does get a cheap apartment eventually. Eureka sees him and visits his apartment.
Yes.
I also wrote down that at this point, we start to see Riko's love opinions start to change. She's kind of thinking more on about both of them, but she's also like reluctant. Like, no, I decided a long time ago who I like.
Mm-hmm. She's starting to like Karu now.
Yes, she is. Which Karu, none the wiser, still thinks she likes Sen because, hey, you told me. I know. I'm not going to push the point. As much as I may want to.
We also learned in this episode that June kissed Eureka.
Yeah, that night.
The jazz band,
after
the jazz performance.
Yeah, after their concert, their gig or whatnot. And I guess he saw it as like it's kind of
spur of the moment.
Because like that night, we kind of got the hint that he's like, all right, kid, like I get it, but I didn't think he was reciprocating stuff as of that episode, but apparently he was. Eureka cuts her hair, and is like and devotes herself to him, and he tries to like scare her off by saying like, "Oh, I'm going to take advantage of you. This is what happens. This is what you expected when you came to visit me."
This was the part where like when I first finished it, I'm like, I don't think I like this. Yeah. But like reflecting on it, I think it is better.
I
actually kind of liked it.
I
There's...
get it, and I'm okay with it. Watching it, it's just like this is a 17-year-old girl, and you're what 20,
21, 22.
So it's not absolutely terrible, but it's just a little like you're 17 years old. I know how I felt when I was 17 and how I feel now, and I'm like, why did I feel like that when I was 17?
I just like that Eureka doesn't give up on him, or like she knows who he is.
Yeah, she sees through you're trying to scare me off. That's why you're acting like this.
You're not
like, actually like
bad
this.
guy.
You're a nice guy, but you think that you're going to be a problematic influence in my young life. And I see through that. I want to help you out. It's not, I know you're deep down, you're not necessarily a bad person. Yeah. That being said, if somebody does this to you in real life, don't think that deep down they're a nice person. That's something an abuse victim makes up to.
Yes. There are some issues with it, but
yeah, I don't want to say an abuse victim makes up. I'm going to say uses as an excuse when they should really be trying to get out of a situation like that. But this is a show. You as viewers can see inside of people's minds and see that they're not actually this way. You have powers as a viewer that you do not have in real life. So if this happens, don't think I can fix you or I know what you're really like, because they probably are really not like that. Let's see. Okay, at this point, Sen sees them together. Like he goes to June's apartment and sees Eureka there, just hanging out. And then after several hints, Sen realizes that Ri likes him, that Riko liked him. That's what because he heard that she liked somebody, and then
Kaoru basically tells him, right?
Kaoru basically tells him, he's like, you need to pay closer attention to things. And then eventually it dawns on him. They're walking back from church, Riko, him, and all of Kaoru's siblings. And some of his siblings are talking about how one of his sisters likes some boy or whatnot. It's like, well, didn't you say that you wanted to marry him when you were little? And then he has a flashback of Riko saying, I want to marry you when they're little. And he's like, oh, I get it. So then at this point, we really move on to the next episode. That's kind of the end of the episode. We're up on episode 9 now, so we're about 2/3 of the way through after this. Or no, we are 2/3 of the way through. Yeah. We're about 3/4 of the way through after this. We learn that Eureka's parents disapprove. She's from a richer background as well.
Yes.
They're like talking. Her mom is like, I made an appointment with a gynecologist to make sure you're not pregnant, just in case. The dad is like, we'll have some suitors here. Yeah. They're like trying to set her up for an arranged marriage.
Yeah, she's getting set up for an arranged marriage.
But it's clear her parents disapprove.
Yeah.
It's Christmas again, so a year passed pretty quick there.
Yeah.
It's revealed that Riko no longer likes Sen.
They confront each other about it.
Yes.
And they're both just like, yeah, we don't like each other. Like, that way.
Yeah, you're still very important to me, and I don't know if she explicitly says that I did feel like that, but she's like, I don't feel like that anymore. Yeah. So that part of that is resolved. June decides to return to Tokyo. He gets a letter from one of his friends that was in the movement saying like, hey, I'm starting up this newspaper to kind of help the movement in a different way. I could use your help. You had a good way with words when you gave those speeches and stuff. There is a jazz battle between this is just a straight up jazz battle between June and Centauro.
I like it's a jazz battle, but like Pops and Kaoru just play along with it.
Yeah, they're desperately trying to keep up with the fast paced tempo.
They just give up. It's like
we can't. Yeah, we can't keep up. This is too much. How do we match this pace, this tempo? The ending scene, Eureka shows up to say goodbye to June, saying like, hey, you're leaving. I respect that. I'm going to go back to my world. Just know that, this was real. Mm-hmm. This is not me pitying you or some childhood thing. This was real. And Jun's like, okay, that's, I'm going. Probably never see each other again. I guess it's just harder to get to Tokyo in those days. Yeah. You can't just go visit people. Which I didn't live through the 60s. I don't know if that's true or not.
Mm-hmm. I also feel like they live very far away from Tokyo.
Yeah, it was quite a bit of a journey. It was
like an overnight.
Yeah,
trip.
It was an overnight when Kaoru went to see his mom. But like, okay, he's gonna leave, and then we hear Yurika's parents come chasing after her, and she's not jumping onto the train, but Jun grabs her and gets her on the train at the last minute. So that's really kind of the last we see of them until the last episode.
Yep. So yeah, that's Yurika leaves with Jun, and then that's it.
We don't see them after that.
And then next episode, they say that those two, they eloped.
Yeah.
So they're together.
Yeah, they take down the painting that she had won some award for that was of Centauro. They're like, there's no way the school is going to, going to hang a painting from somebody involved in a scandal. They're just going to try to be as hush-hush about it as possible and pretend it never happened. Mm-hmm. We learn Centauro is kind of okay with it at this point. He's like, I've made peace with the decision. And then we learn that he's going to possibly fail junior year of high school. So he and Kaoru I wrote down study.
Study.
Which is a reference to a show we'll probably also cover at some point, Golden Boy.
Yeah.
So they study. There is Kaoru takes a bath at Sen's house.
Is this when that happens?
Yes.
Okay.
I wrote down bath time, trusting that I would remember what that meant.
Okay.
He takes a bath before like heading home. Rico, we haven't said it, but they basically live in the same apartment building. As Centauro's family. So she comes in thinking that it's thinking that the little sister is in the bath. Centauro's little sister saying like, hey, do you need me to help out, wash your back or whatever? And then he's just like, oh, what?
Hello.
What are you doing in it's like, what are you doing in Centauro's bath? It's like, well, I mean, it's kind of a shared tub space because we live in this poor shared apartment here. I thought it was the sister. He's embarrassed. He quickly gets out of the bath, puts his clothes on. I think his clothes got wet is why he was taking That's a thing, I guess, in Japan. If your clothes get wet, they're like, go take a bath. We'll dry your clothes. You get wet, so you have to go take a bath. I don't quite get it, but it's a thing. He puts it on quickly. He's like, hey, your clothes haven't dried yet. You're going to get sick if you walk home in this weather with wet clothes like that. Sure enough, he gets sick.
Yep.
He has a fever. Rico visits him to, just to visit him, maybe to bring him classwork or something too. But and she brings him like food or something to eat. I wrote down confession number 2. So as she's leaving, he motions up the courage to run out to her. He like stumbles because he's still very sick. And confesses feelings like, hey, I still feel this way. I don't necessarily care if you don't feel it. I just need you to know I'm not, I've not moved past this yet. But then, and you kind of get the feeling that she's like, okay, and I think Kaoru kind of gets that thing too, but he's too scared to act again.
He faints.
Yeah, he faints at that point, but he comes when he's back at school later and he's not sick. He's like, how did I have that much courage then? And I've got nothing now. But Sin tries to run away because at this point because his dad is coming back into town, and his dad is not his real dad.
Okay.
It's his stepdad, or not his stepdad, but like his adopted father, who he was told his father was when he was a boy, but knows that it's not at this point. His dad, when his dad does show up, he's kind of trying to mend fences with him and like, hey, you're just a kid. It's not your fault that you're not my child. And that my mother hated you for some reason, or maybe my mother-in-law hated you. There's part of Sin's background was like the mom really did not, or the grandmother really did not like him.
Yeah.
And she like died or something, and he found her collapsed, bloody body, and it was like he was kind of like partially blamed for it, and bad feelings with his dad. So he's like, I'm gonna run away. Kaoru knows this is gonna happen, so he's like, no, you can't run away. His dad returns, like I said, tries to mend fences. Yeah. Gives him like an expensive fountain pen, kind of like, I don't know, it's like a nice tie clip or something that where it's like you have a nice, I don't know, fountain pens aren't really a thing here, right?
No, not really. Not that I know.
But it's like, this is like just a nice thing that will probably last you for years and be, kind of something on the fancier side of things. A fountain pen would be. So he's like, this gift is wasted on me. I'm not a studious person. I'm not somebody who likes pens.
And his dad's like, it's not polite to like reject a
family member, a present from a family member.
I think he's like specifically says father. So I think that like has
or from a parent. I think he said from a parent.
So it's like Sin finally realizes
like, okay, he's trying here. He's trying to meet me here. There might be some odd feelings, but he's trying to. They eventually decide for the festival. They're challenged by the rock group saying, hey, you stole the show at the festival last year. We're going to steal the show this time. And they're like, bring it on. They start to practice for the festival. Ree joins the band. Yep. They start doing a rendition of My Favorite Things. And we get a nice scene of...
So excited for it.
Yes. And we get a nice scene of them practicing and singing it. The night before the festival... Kaoru forgets something at the record store. So Sen, who has like a little motorbike for his part-time job doing deliveries, is like, oh, I'll bring it over to him. And then a car is in the wrong lane, and there's an accident.
He's in
a traffic accident. They learn about this the day of the festival. Kaoru runs to the hospital. Sees Sin's family being like, oh, it's very serious. They don't know if they're going to wake up. There's a lot of, brain damage possibly going on here. He's like, oh no, is Sin okay? And like, oh no, Sin's fine. The little sister was on the back of the motorbike with him she had like a twisted ankle. So he'd normally never have her on there, but you don't know that information is hidden from us until this moment, just like it's hidden from Kaoru. But she's like, they don't know if she's going to wake up. Sin is also injured, but he's
fine.
He's fine. He was just here. Kaoru goes to the roof to see him, and it's like, hey, consoles him. This is not your fault. This is, just general like, hey, you need to not worry about this. Not everything is your fault. She decided to go with you. You weren't the cause of the accident. You were in the right lane and all that. So he's like, all right, that's fine. But then he never shows up. He at this point he just, we don't see him for a very long time. He's gone.
Yes.
We get a time skip. That's the end of episode 11.
So last episode.
Yep. We get a scene where Kaoru like devotes himself to studying again. His grades had kind of slipped when he was focusing on music. The teacher said some asshole thing about now that distraction to your studies has gone away, you're finally back to yourself. And I'm just like, what is wrong with people? What is wrong with adults in this show? But they...
So the only good adult is...
Pops.
Yeah.
And I guess...
Maybe the mom.
Kaoru's mom. And Centauro's mom... Sort of, she's not really in it much. She has watermelon once when he's not feeling hungry to get him to eat because he was lovesick or whatever, so he wasn't feeling hungry. But she's barely in it. Riko invites him over to study. They have a consensual kiss, and then Kaoru takes it a little bit too far, and he says he's glad that Sin's gone because then they can have all this time alone. But you can tell that he's just saying that because he's frustrated and he's trying to take it out on her. She's like, you need to leave. This is don't ever say that. You don't actually feel that way. Don't be glad that he's out of our lives. Then it skips. It's graduating. It's a new year. He's top of his class. He tells her, "Hey, I didn't have time to tell you this before. I'm going to go to school in Tokyo. I realize that, I kind of blew it. I still have feelings for you." He's just kind of like yelling this, like she's not talking to him. She's in her room or whatnot. And he's just, I just need to let you know this. I'm leaving. Pops shows up to say goodbye to him as he's getting on the train to Tokyo. Says like, "Hey, she's not coming, but she did make you this lunch. That's something." But then she does show up at the last minute, and after the doors are closed, and she follows him as far as she can follow the train, and he sees her for as long as he can. And then we get to another time skip.
8 years.
It's 8 years? I didn't catch how long.
I wrote down 8 years.
Okay. It's enough for him to finish college and med school and be working in a hospital in Tokyo. He's a doctor. He's watching the TV. The leader of the rock band, Matsuoka, is on the TV. And he's drops his spoon. He's like, It's a classmate. That's a classmate of mine from high school." And the other doctor's like, "Can you get an autograph for my kid?" Yeah. She's crazy about that. Those boy bands or whatever.
You think he actually liked them? One of those,
I don't think so. No. I did not get that vibe from this doctor
autograph?
that's been in one scene.
It's for my daughter. It's not for me. But could you make it out for Jim?
That's my daughter's name. She was named after me. Don't put Jim Jr. She just goes by Jim.
It's a family name.
But they get he runs into Yurika at the hospital because she's pregos.
Yep.
So she's there for a checkup. She's like, a friend of mine got married on this island and sent me this picture, and this person that looks pretty familiar, don't you think?
Hint, wink, wink.
Implied that it's Sen. So he goes to the island.
Yep.
And then it takes him a while to find it, but eventually he goes to a church on the island, and there's just a drum set in the church. He starts playing. It's Mourning,
Mourning,
which is the name of the first episode. The song that they were fighting each other over in the first episode. He starts playing that on the organ there, and then Centauro hears it, and he's like, "I always figured this day would come." He's playing with children.
So Centauro is a priest.
Priest in training.
Priest in training.
Which I guess works a little bit differently back then and in Japan than it would. Because we know some people that are priests, and they had to go to college for that, and then eventually join the order. Which Centauro does not strike me as the person who went to college. He's a priest in training.
He basically doesn't run the orphanage, but he spends a lot of time.
Yeah, he helps out watching the kids, and I mean, okay, this is a perfect job for him.
Yeah.
He's always been great with his siblings, and his one interest was with Yurika, but it was kind of a childlike love, and I can tell that he's happy with this. But he starts playing the drums, and the kids are loving it.
Yeah.
And then the regular priest comes back and is like, "I told you can only do that on special occasions, and you're breaking the rules again." He's still a delinquent piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's great.
Okay. Just saying it. This ending was great. I fucking loved this.
Okay. Now
the song and everything.
Yes. Now the last scene that we get is we see somebody else.
Okay, but first they run away together again.
Yes, they run away together again.
This is at least the third.
Well, they're being chased by the priest.
Fourth time.
Yeah,
at least 4.
They are running away together again. I get it. All right, it's just, I see what the shippers are talking about. It's there,
but it's great. They're running away together again. You're like, this is great. But then they see somebody else walking up. You see a letter that they're reading. Mentions basically the same thing that Yurika said to it. Hey, a friend of mine got married. I wanted to send you this letter with this picture because doesn't this person look familiar? Turns out it's Riko. She's shown up on the island. Short hair Riko.
She's got short hair. you may not know this, but that's Ben and I's current obsession is short-haired anime girls are... It's the best look for anime girls. That being said, I didn't really like Yuriko with short hair. It was the wrong type of short hair.
That one wasn't great.
But a short-haired anime, she's got short hair. This is Chef's Kiss. Perfect.
Boom. Done.
That's the end of the show. We don't get any resolution as to like, what has she been up to this whole time?
Doesn't matter.
They're all together now. I did do some research. I didn't read the source material. This is based off of a manga.
Oh, okay.
I didn't read the source material. I did look up some summaries of characters just to see if there's any more information given. Mm-hmm. It was revealed in the manga that Riko and Kaoru exchanged letters while he was in college, and they are married at the end of the manga with a child on the way. So that's happy ending there. Yep. That's all I needed to know. I didn't need to read the source material. I just needed to... It's like, all right, come on. Give me the goods. Are they together? Let me know. I need to know this. I get why you ended it there, but I need just a little more. Just a little more. Let me know they're happy. Yeah. Come on. You can do that, right?
But no, I thought this ending was great. That song was a bop.
Yeah. I mean, it's... Again, it's like, should I buy a jazz vinyl to play on?
I don't know about you. I think we should bring back the organ.
You think we should bring back the organ?
Yeah.
Can we find an organ jazz album?
I don't know, but that organ was popping.
Do you think? I wonder if we can get the soundtrack for the show on vinyl. Because that would be awesome. We should check at the record store.
Organs are great, especially like go to a baseball game, just playing the organ. It's great.
Okay, yeah, it's baseball again. It's always baseball with this guy. I mean, I get it. I mean, we have an organ in the church that we grew up with. But
I want like the electric organ.
Yeah, you want the fun organ.
I want the fun organ.
You don't want the, okay, this is
too loud organ.
We're going to play On Eagle's Wings, which is a great song. Yeah. But you want an electric organ. Yeah. Okay.
Add some fun to it.
I'm sure we can find something. We got to find either the soundtrack for this or something with organ and jazz on vinyl. I'll ask at the record shop. The guy might know something. Okay.
But yeah, again, I just thought I love this last part. I think it was a
so ending. What would you rate this show?
I would put it probably like an 8. 8? Yes.
I would put this at a 9 these days. Okay. I think I put it at a 10 when I first watched it. I think I would drop it down to a 9 for the reasons I mentioned before. It's just a little like, okay, a little melodramatic, a little...
I wanted more jazz.
Yes.
I didn't think there was enough music.
That's fair. It's very fair.
I was disappointed, and like the music in it was fantastic, like was great, all the jazz sets, but I just wanted more.
Well, I think part of my problem is if it's background music, they probably played more jazz than I remembered, but it was just background music, and I just don't pay attention to that.
I just didn't recognize it if it was background. I didn't recognize if it was jazz or not. I don't think it was.
Yeah, but again, that's just my brain like tuning out everything, but what I'm trying to read. So yeah, I would give it a 9. You give it an 8.
I'd give it a solid 8.
Okay, so this is higher. So you like this more than you like Konosuba. It's a very different show.
It's a different vibe. It's a different show. Again, Konosuba is just like a comedy.
You're not expected to think deeply or feel deeply watching Konosuba. You're expected to laugh and have fun. Yeah. This one you're expected to be a little sad, a little. You know, I'm always like a sucker for sad anime. I cry a lot, as you are aware.
Yeah. We both like sad anime.
But I didn't really cry much watching this. There was definitely sad moments and things that made my heart hurt a little bit.
I don't think it was a sad anime. I don't think it was supposed to be a sad anime. I think it's just like it's just a drama.
Okay.
Like so drama romance.
Okay. So definitely recommend this.
Yes. I would recommend it.
If it's not your cup of tea, then I guess don't try it. But if you like serious shows, if you like romance or drama or jazz, check it out. It's only 12 episodes.
Probably should have said this before we spoiled the whole show.
Yeah, watch it.
We just told you everything about it. Go watch it.
Go watch it. You should have watched it beforehand. Go watch it. That being said, mentioning beforehand, let's move on to...
Yeah, let's wrap up.
We want to play the My Anime List game. Do you have one picked out?
No, I didn't. I totally forgot to pick one. Have you watched Charlotte?
Yes, I have watched Charlotte.
Do Charlotte.
Okay, Charlotte is a show.
I gotta start the timer.
Okay.
You got a minute. Ready and go.
Okay, Charlotte is a show where teenagers, as part of puberty, will just develop superpowers. I don't remember exactly what happens in the show. One guy gets a power and he's able to get a bunch of other powers because of it. There's a romance with they're like going out on missions. It ends rather abruptly. It does have a solid ending, but it's just like the last episode is just a little like, okay, now I'm gonna go do all this stuff, and then and then he goes and does all this stuff. I would give it probably a 7 out of 10, maybe a 6 if I were to watch it today. It was recommended by a friend of ours who's like, hey, you'll like this. I'm like, all right, yep, this is my cup of tea. This is the type of stuff I watch. It's a romantic comedy with something slightly supernatural taking place, but it's also about the relationships, and it's. Oh, I'm done.
You're done.
Okay. Right. So that's the My Anime List game. I don't know what I gave it on my anime list, but I think it's 7 or 6. You got to be more prepared for that, man. I told you to have that prepared.
Well, I got to have your list to do it. You didn't give me your list.
You couldn't find... Surely I sent you You could go through our text messages and find the original link I gave you. Okay, so we've babbled on. We really wanted to get this under an hour. We did not do that.
Nope. We got stuck with the boy love.
We got stuck on boy love. Again, always the boy love.
Dang.
So, one nemesis. So, next episode... we were going to do this episode, then we realized, let's not have 2 isekais in a row.
Yeah.
But next episode, we're going to cover the first season of Devil is a Part-Timer. That's right, I said the first season, because after we decided to do Kids on a Slope, it was revealed that they are going to have a second season of Devil is a Part-Timer after 8 years to come out. So in celebration, I was like, all right, we'll do Devil is a Part-Timer this time. So if you want to watch it, feel free to bone up. We'll be back in 2 weeks. If you have, again, any questions, reach us at Anime Territory, anime_territory on Twitter. You feel free to yell at us or say that you liked it. I'm sure all of you listening also have my phone number, so you can just text me what you think about it. Mom, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry for all the swearing and the boy love talk. You guys have a great day.
Bye.